Roundtable discussion, a review of BTS ARIRANG. Atwood magazine's writers dive into BTS' fifth studio album ARIRANG, an expansive, high-energy comeback that transforms Korean heritage into a bold self-portrait, unpacking the group's post-military renewal, their celebration of roots and collective identity, and the push-pull between global fame, personal fatigue, and resilience. To start, what is your relationship with BTS music? We have this saying amongst fans that BTS music finds you when you need it most, and it is one statement I agree with as well. Although it seems like just yesterday when I first listened to my very first BTS album, next month will make 8 years of being a fan of BTS music. Roisin, BTS was in my household before I even knew who they were. I remember coming home in the car after a long day of early morning revision and some kind of sport after school with a packed schedule you can only keep when you're a spring chicken of 15. My sister would always play music and I was so nosy, so I kept asking who was behind each song. Then I started to listen to BTS in my own time and fell in love with their older albums. Discovering the Just One Day dance practice video was mesmerizing to me because they used choreography in such a smooth way. I now listen to them when I want a bit of nostalgia and a pick-me-up. Dimitra, I first got into BTS back in 2015, right around the release of the Dope music video. I was immediately hooked and spent a long time deeply invested in their music and growth, watching streams on V Live, and so on. Over the years I naturally drifted toward other genres and artists, but I've always found myself going back to their earlier albums for comfort. They still feel like a safe, familiar place I can return to, sometimes. Josh, I first discovered BTS in 2020 when their hit song Dynamite came out. The goal of the song, according to the group, was to make life more pleasant for people during the doldrums of the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. And I gotta say, they sure succeeded. I've maintained a positive impression of BTS ever since then and am happy that, 6 whole years after Dynamite, they remain a popular and successful band that's still putting out well-received music. Jada, I absolutely loved it, and I thought to myself BTS is back, and better than ever. I listened from start to finish once the album dropped, and I felt a wide range of emotions but mostly just pure elation and thrill at the tone being set by the group. Roisin, as someone who loves BTS older work, I always find myself measuring their new albums against the comfort of their earlier songs. Hearing their voices together again was a joy, but on first listen nothing quite jumped out at me. The songs felt a little generic, although that might say more about how spoiled I've been by their earlier music than this album itself. I did enjoy how ARIRANG felt like a tribute back to the group's first rap songs, and I could feel a blistering energy from them. I'll admit I was a bit hesitant, at first. The first few days following the release, online reactions were quite negative, and on my initial listen the album didn't fully click with me either, aside from a few standout tracks like They Don't Know About Us. However, it slowly started to grow on me. I began to appreciate it more, especially since I recognized some of the parallels with Dark and Wild, especially in its attitude and sonic direction. Josh, it sure seems like an entertaining and energetic listening experience to me. I guess I'll have to dig a little more deeply into the lyrics to achieve a more in-depth analysis of the album. But did it succeed in its fundamental goal of getting my foot tapping? Absolutely. B was like an intimate love letter to fans, seeking to express the joys and sorrows of the pandemic, while comforting fans as well. However, ARIRANG is the seed of revival stamped with confidence and maturity. If I were to compare ARIRANG to a previous album from their discography, it would be Dark and Wild. B felt more meaningful. Perhaps because it was born out of the loneliness of life in quarantine, where the profundity was woven into the mundane, and how those small moments become so much heavier under such circumstances.